Welcome to Whiteboard Wednesday, the third and final part of the networking video series that we've been exploring. In part one, we looked at being more read. In part two, we explored the 3 C's of more effective networking. And today we're looking at things to avoid, or also known as networking no's. If you haven't already checked out the first 2 videos, head over to my YouTube channel at the IM Hub and you'll see those there. But today it's about things to avoid, and if we can avoid these things when we're networking, it's going to be much more impactful for us. As always, Whiteboard Wednesday is about communication tips, and networking opportunities are great experiences and situations to help us to communicate with more confidence and impact. So let's dive into the third part of this series. And as I said, we're looking at networking no's. And a really awful way to present this is SPAT. This is just conveniently how the 4 things spelt out. It might be an easy way to remember it, it might not. But either way, let's dive in to the first one. So the S is for strategy. And the networking no in this case is going in with the strategy of what's in it for me. And that's being our only strategy. We know that networking is often a long game. Yes, we might get some short-term wins, which is great when we do networking events, but more often than not, it's about building and nurturing really meaningful connections. If we can go in with the right strategy of seeing what opportunities there are to collaborate with people, how we can support others as well as getting something in return, it's going to make our networking much more impactful. So think about the strategy. If it's only to that you need more clients, so you're going to start networking, it's probably the wrong strategy to adopt. Think about getting networking as part of your wider business development strategy and getting it on a regular basis. The P, kind of linked to that, is the preparation around it. So this can form sort of part of your strategy when you're going for networking events. But be prepared. It relates to the R, the research phase of being more read. Prepare for networking events because it's going to make it much more effective in the long run. What's the networking event about? Who might be there? What are your goals for that networking event? Having a lack of preparation is the networking no in this case. If we're going to be putting ourselves in these situations, we might as well make it as impactful as possible. So a little bit of prep doesn't need to be too much, but just a bit of research and preparation before is hopefully really going to help. The A is for authenticity. I'll just put authentic, and showing up authentically to networking events. It's no good showing up to networking events try and be someone that we're not, just to please the other person. We're going to get found out. They're going to see through us longer term if we're going to be building longer term connections with the people that we meet. Now, this is different to being authentic, and you can still be authentic by being as confident as possible. Sometimes you've probably heard me say, sometimes we need to fake it till we make it, in terms of confidence to walk up to that person, to speak to those different people. We can still be authentic by being our confident selves, but really try to have genuine conversations, come across naturally, because it's going to build more rapport and more meaningful connections when we're networking. The next one, and there's 2 parts to this, the T is talking. And I'm just going to put an arrow up and an arrow down there. So the arrow up refers to us talking too much and overpowering conversations when we're networking with people. Going back to what we said in the 3 C's, curiosity. We want to get curious about other people, ask them questions, get them to open up. Because not only is that going to help us see if there's opportunities to collaborate, it also builds that rapport by getting interested in the other person. If we're overpowering the conversation though, that rapport is going to break down. So that's the networking no. On the other side, the arrow down is not talking at all. How many times have we been to networking events where we've grabbed a coffee or a wine, stood in the corner, looked at our phones and thought, please no one come up to me, I'm not in the mood. We've all been there. But if we're going to put ourselves into these networking opportunities, we might as well give it our all and make the effort to go up to those strangers that we don't know yet and kick off that conversation. So as much as we don't want to overpower those discussions, we don't want to not talk at all and avoid those discussions. We want to be in those conversations to build our network. So that's the tip today to wrap up our networking video series, networking no's. So think about your strategy, your preparation, being authentic, and not overpowering by talking too much, but also not talking at all. We want to find the right balance there. That wraps it up. I hope you found that networking video series useful. If you found this video useful, check out even more ways to upgrade your impact by subscribing to my YouTube channel.